For today, Romans chapter 8. For they that are after the flesh do mind the thing of the flesh, but that they are after the Spirit, the thing of the Spirit. And verse 6, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. 7. Because carnal mind is enmity again with God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then, they are in the flesh, cannot please God. If we are the flesh, we cannot please God. It is the key point for me today. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please God. That's what we have to. That, but ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so, that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now, if any man have not Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. Because Christ in us, we'll see in Romans chapter 9. The main point I want to share is, so then they that are the flesh cannot please God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Romans chapter 8, one of the reasons of many that I like it is because we can have assurance. We can have assurance of salvation when we look at Romans chapter 8. So there's other places in the Bible, some scriptures that might tell us that we can lose our salvation. But when you go back to Romans chapter 8, you can see that can't happen. So I like Romans chapter 8.
And here we see the difference between those that live in the Spirit and those that live in the flesh. You know, we have a term called, carnal Christians. There's no such thing. If you're a carnal person, you're in enmity with God. Does he allow his enemies to get to heaven? How about those that don't please God? Can they get to heaven? So they have this false assurance, You're absolutely right. Those are in the Spirit. The Spirit of God dwells within you. But yeah, if we're walking in the flesh, we cannot please God. You know how Daryl mentioned that church with a whole bunch of divorces. They're obviously not living in the Spirit. They're living in the flesh, and they're not pleasing God. How can they be pleasing God when they can't even love their neighbor, their spouse? That's why they can't love their spouse, because they're not living in the Spirit. And if the Spirit is not in them, that's what is it? What does it say? If you are not in the flesh, then you are in the Spirit. Now, if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he is not of his. If you don't have the Spirit of God, if you don't have the Spirit, then you don't belong to Jesus.
Right.
Well, a huge misstatement that you hear a lot, and what might be a really good topic for a sermon on a Saturday could be is, are we all children of God? Because what Brother Thang just read here in Romans chapter 8, it tells us that we're not. Not everyone is. But people like to say that, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the King.
Well, like in verse 7, it says, the sinful mind is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. That was part of what I did on submission to God. Are we fully submitting? If you're not, you're hostile to God. And you're not going to please him. It says it does not submit, nor can it do so. You can't even do it. You're only not doing it, you can't. That's good.